conference will now be recorded.
Stand, recite the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Dennis, is going to be effective today? Later on. Okay, do we have any new guests this morning, new homeowners? Yes.
Steve Lindbergh, on right down on our way.
Okay. Which lot is that in?
119.
Okay. Woodward's living. Oh, Woodward, okay, gotcha. I haven't seen that one on the list yet. Welcome, and
We've been here a while, but we just really haven't been here.
Oh, okay.
A year ago, we were able to get here.
Oh, okay, great, good to have
We're
you.
kind of new and not new.
Well, I can understand that. We do have a couple closings this past month. Lot 5.36. Michael and Marcia Kinney. I don't think they're here. And also lot 648, Kenneth and Jeannie Nelson. Neither one are here. I want to welcome everybody, all the new people. And moving on to the next item, I'd like to have a motion to approve the previous meeting's minutes for October 14th as distributed.
Motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item is the treasurer's report. Gail, are you?
Always. This report for the treasurer's report of October. We had expenditures of $8,102.25, and that's including the normal utility bills, officer committee budgeted reimbursements, with payments to various vendors. Grow with the Flow, they did the 4 cuts for the month on our common area. Cumberland County Community Complex rentals for June, September, and October. You might not realize that Tim was paying for that and has ceased that. So the social committee gets to pay that fee. It's $200 every time we meet there. Stokes Electric Company, we had for pond fountain control components. Legendary Lawns was a weed and feed treatment tree for common areas. And the U.S. Postal Service annual fee on our HOA post office box. We finished the month with balances of $1,962.79 in our checking account and $173,617.66 in our savings account. And again, that includes the $31,702.90 that's now obligated for the financial reserve. So far, this fiscal year, we've received 96.6% of our budgeted income and spent 53% of our budgeted expenses. You want more detail? The treasurer's report is always on the website.
His full report will be attached to the minutes as when they send them out. Okay, thank you. Let's see. We have a motion to approve the minutes subject to audit.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
In favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. And all of the committee reports should be available with the minutes when they send them out. Instead of having to sit here and read all of them, they just publish them online. Next item is old business. And I guess that's just an announcement that Nancy Bryant will not be taking over the position of treasurer, and Dale Gunst has graciously offered to stay on until.
Until what?
What is graciously?
I'm trying to be kind this morning. However, I'm quite certain that if someone in here would step forward and offer to help with some of his obligations, he would be more than happy to help you learn how. So, next item up is there's been a lot of talk about fences in the neighborhood. And there's been talk about a survey to find out if Gardens residents are in favor or not in favor of having fences around yards within the gardens. With that, I think Steve and Dennis both had some input. Did you want to share what you
I can do that. I'm just going to start off with a little sort of piece of my feelings on all this. The board has been discussing this fence topic now since its inception. I believe the previous board also discussed the fence topping a whole lot. I suspect we all know this has become an issue because the developer has, in general, built what customers want, even if in conflict with the DCRs. And so we have all kinds of fences all over the place. And people are told, no, they can't build fences. So I understand there are three groups. I'm very confident here. There are three groups of people in the community that either want fences, don't want fences, or don't care. And we really don't have any notion of what those populations look like. We really don't. We may personally think we know what they look like, but we don't. So we've been discussing this idea of a survey. And I know, that myself and other people have proposed how this survey should be worded. It's my opinion that the board at this point should have enough of a sense of what the survey should look like or could look like, that we should be able to resolve this and get a survey out there and get the sense of the community as to, what these three populations look like. So I'm going to make a motion that basically says the board should be expeditious and develop and distribute the survey regarding the fences. I'm going to suggest as part of this motion that we take no more than a week to put the wording for this survey together and distribute it to the membership as soon as practical. So this way the membership can, the community can express their opinion as to, fences or no fences, what kind of fences, whatever. And let's get off the dime here. So I have made a motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Go ahead.
I think it's important that this survey be divided out by phases, because there's a DCR for phases 1 through 5, DCRs for phases 6 through 7, and DCRs for phase 8. And since changing the fencing policy is going to involve changing the DCRs, I think we have to handle each group separately.
Well, I'm going to say my opinion is that what we're really trying to put forth here with this survey and some statement of fencing guidelines is really guidance to the architectural committee. Should there be some issues that are driven by DCR problems, those are DCR problems. We'll do what we can do, however it's possible, to take care of DCR problems if they can be. But if we're going to be producing guidelines for the architectural committee, I don't want to get involved in the DCR issue.
But you have to get involved.
The question is, do you, me, you want a fence? Period. Not what kind of fence, not it's going to be right, all this. Do you want a fence? 1 through 5 has a DCR, tells you what it says. 6 and 7 and 8. So it should be specific. The question is not what kind of fence do you want? Do you want a fence? Yes or no? Period.
Let me address the issue of DCR. The narrative about this issue in all the DCRs is the same. It's one of those things that we could just pluck out and say, you know, now we have one DCR. We could just, that's just an example, okay? So the wording is taken care of. So it doesn't matter about phases. You got to remember that our DCR governing documents, the charter is first, then the DCRs, then the bylaws, then the policies. You can't change a policy that's going to be in direct contradiction to the DCR. You can't do it. It's null and void.
Let me ask for a clarification here from somebody who probably knows better than me. My recollection of the wording in the DCR implies that the HOA board can override.
No. The Architectural Control Committee can approve a fence. That's what it says.
So overriding it.
No, you're not overriding it because it's written into the DCCR
Okay, well,
specifically that with an architectural committee approval, you can have a fence.
So there is a way to do it
Yes.
currently in the DCR.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
So if
been,
you don't want fences in 1 through 5 or 6 and 7, then that has to be removed from the DCR,
you'll have
which is voted on by
the entire,
the whatever phase.
But if
DCR controls.
the responsibility of approving a fence, a modification, whatever comes under the architectural committee's purview, if it's their responsibility to approve whatever the homeowner wants to do, the architectural committee needs guidelines as to what we as a board will accept.
Those
And what the
guidelines
commu-
right
and
now
or
are
what
in
the-
policy number 1.
and or what the community will accept.
Right.
And so my proposal here is to get off the dime, do the survey, and then put together the architectural committee guidelines so that, you know, that we stop being random about what it is we can do.
I agree, but would you think the one I sent out earlier, just the paragraph about explaining DCR separation, and this vote is for, do you want a fence or do you not want a fence? And attach your review of what the changes are going to be, not a bunch of pages, just that one page that says, these are the general areas that are going to be
That would,
looked at, and then we put it together.
that would be fine. That would be fine by me. My concern is a simple yes, no question leaves it up to the reader to imagine what we might have in mind. If we elucidate somehow of what we might have in mind, then there's no imagination. So
You can't cover everything.
I will clearly accept your proposal that says, you know, put yours and mine together and we put that out.
hang on. If somebody'd like to ask a question.
Chris Shield. The only thing, you're using the word survey. Is it a vote or survey?
It's a survey,
So it's a survey.
just to find out what
So
people,
56% or 60% of the people on the survey say, we do not want fences. You don't have to go by it.
no, we don't have to go by it, but we'd like to know.
If it's gonna be out there, make it a vote.
You're not ready,
change
you're not
it?
ready for a vote yet.
The survey is to give us information.
But Steve says a very simple yes or no question. Do you want to update to allow fences more than what they are now? Yes or no? And then at that point, you have to go by it and then you continue.
No. The survey, the reason for it is that we're the board, we represent you, we work for you. So I don't know what the people in 1 through 5 want. I don't know if they don't want fences or want fences. So that's why we do the survey.
Do the survey, it's gonna take another year before you.
No.
It's been going on for about 40 years now.
Well, yeah, but we haven't been on it.
Yeah, it's been going
We've
on.
only been on it for 3
It's
months.
pathetic how long it's taken.
Yes, I want to bring it to a stop.
But with a survey, it's not going to.
Yes, it will.
Yes, it will.
You
Because,
gotta vote. Do you want to
oh,
continue?
no, that will be the next thing.
Okay, hang on. Let me clarify something. Exactly what is an architectural committee guideline? What is it? Is it a charter? Is it a DCCR? Is it a bylaw? Is it a policy? No, it's nothing.
Right.
It's absolutely nothing. It is not even in our jurisdiction. So any policy you want to make, or any guideline you want to make, is superseded by the existing documentation for our governing documents. And it specifically says in Article 1, under board-approved policies, Section 12, no fences.
Well,
There is no more argument, people. That's it.
well,
You've got to, the first thing you've got to do is change your governing documents before you need to even think about a policy for fences.
I guess my naive view is, in essence, it's one and the same. That is, if we're going to propose these guidelines for the architectural committee to be able to approve a fence, then obviously that section of the policy has to change.
That's never been addressed.
Okay,
That was my policy, or my question to Dick Green over a month ago, and it was out and out poo-poo.
so
Okay?
so I guess my approach here is a two-step approach.
Okay?
If we get a sense of the community that says fences or no fences, if the community comes back and says no fences, then there's nothing to do. And if the community comes back and says, well, yes, we really need to consider fences, then we have something to do. It's called change the policy.
Right. But then my next question is how will you enforce these guidelines? You've got to do something besides a guideline. It has to be made a permanent fixture within our structures.
It sounds like,
Guidelines is nothing. It does not count.
We would make it the policy is,
the policy
That's number one.
There has to be more than a policy because every administration for the last 5 years has changed the architectural committee guidelines to either allow fences, not allow fences, allow this, allow that. That's why we've got the best we've got. We need something that is more specific. It needs to be a bylaw or higher that the people cannot change readily without going to the court and registering it.
no argument from me.
Okay? So it's not a guideline. We've got to put this out as something more than that.
Not an argument for me. And like I just said, I just view this as a two-step process. The first step is, let's get the sense of the community. That'll tell us what we need to do.
Sounds good. Dave, you had your hand up first.
There's been survey issues before in here. They have been done without approval of the board. That was before the current board, by the way. And then we had one that was, let's say, not done correctly, by letting more people vote and some people couldn't vote. And you ended up with a problem that, who knows, it might have been the old saying, it's easier to beg for forgiveness than ask for permission. So that survey wasn't done correctly. So if you're going to do a survey, you need to have rules for the survey and have them abide by. And I've been thinking about this whole mess for days. You can do this easy. Surveys can only have one response per resident or per block. This business of going all over the place and having everybody do it only makes a bigger mess. There are people in this neighborhood that only have one email address for both people in the house. And then there's several of us that have several. I have 3 email addresses. I use them for different things.
But it's not, you only have one registered with the,
Yeah, but there was people doing it all over the place before.
that was our mistake. We screwed that up, okay?
So the survey is one response per thing. The survey should only be 96 hours in distance. If you can't get it done in 96 hours, forget it. And the survey results need to be monitored by somebody on the board as well as the IT guy. I suggest the VP. You want a sample of what I got for the survey? It's easy. If a resident is voted off the board, that person should never hold office again. Yes or no? Do you want fences allowed in phase 1 through 5? Yes or no? Do you want fences? Do you want to separate from 1 through 5 from 6 and 8? Yes or no? Simple. You just send it out. It's all a yes or no, and it's done in 96 hours. And somebody's watching to make sure it's not crooked.
Okay.
I was just gonna mention, fences, yes or no is good per section, only because all the people, like, for me, I'm in, 5 to 2. And see, that's what happens. I would say I'm not big on fences, but for the other areas, I think it's, it's okay, not a problem.
That's one neighborhood. Why are you gonna divide a neighborhood?
I'm not dividing a neighborhood, I'm dividing one area from another. They have larger lots, so it would not bother me, not because I don't live there. If I lived there, I'd want a fence, but here I wouldn't. Just that way, each person can say, yes, this area, or no, that area. If there was some input.
Can I make a little speech? Sure. I don't usually do this stuff, but I will. Let me get over here so I can get on the camera. My wife, she's very pragmatic about things, and we were talking about, she says, the cat was let out of the bag when the developer can do whatever he wants. They're just urinating in the wind because they can allow these fences. There's wooden, really, it's out there, and then the other thing, I had a couple conversations with people, one of them just this morning, and I'm saying, we're all in our last chapter of life. And we have a nice little community here. And who the hell cares? I don't care if Chris Shields puts a fence up behind his house. I really don't. Would I like him to do it? Not really. I didn't want the John Deere guy to put a gas pump in his front yard. I didn't want these burn rings in front yards. I don't like the epoxy on some of the driveways. I think it's slippery and dangerous. Okay? There's lots of things like that. But why do we not have anything better to do with our time than worry about something piddly like this? So we might as well get into my situation. I have a retaining wall around the side and the back of my house. It's about this high, and there's rock, the rock shelf down below. It's dangerous. So back in the summer, I'm thinking, I got to do something about this because somebody's going to fall off of here. So I started thinking about putting up a retaining rail. Okay, I'm going to call it a safety rail. And I said, okay, I'm going to put a safety rail up. So I'm talking to the wife who fell this year and broke her knee and is worried about falling on the street in the winter and the ice. I said, boy, it sure would be nice if we could do something to keep Bilbo in. I said, well, yeah, if we put a safety rail around there, we've got 2 little gates on both ends. Now we have basically like a little, I'll call it a fenced in side yard, okay? So this is in August. I decided, yeah, we're going to do this, but I'm going to get Architectural Review Committee approval. So
contacted Eva. Eva came over, I have drawings. I made a drawing like I do everything. Everything I've done, I've submitted to the architecture review. I have a full drawing of my house, the retaining wall, and where the safety railing would be. And I said, Eva, what do you think of this? And she says, I think it's fine. It's a good idea. Safety rail so nobody falls off that wall. Okay? And I'm going to enclose a little gate right here, and right here, so that I can use that as an area. She said, fine. Do it. Dave Shockey, who might be online or whatever, I brought it up at men's breakfast on Thursday and showed him the thing. He says, yeah, do it. So I said, do you want me to fill out a architectural review form for it? She said, it's not necessary for this. You're putting up a safety rail. I said, are you sure? Right, Eva? I said, are you sure? She said, huh? Yeah, well, it is. It's landscape. You know, I have pictures I can show you of here's the wall. There's a stone down below there. Okay? So I said, well, I'm getting ready to order $6,500 worth of high-end fencing material, and I don't want to do it if it's going to be a problem. And we talked about it. She said, it's not a problem. Just don't connect it to your house.
Right.
I said, okay, I'll do it. So I ordered $6,500 worth of fencing material, and I put it in. And here it is. So it looks like now. It's beautiful. And you know what? Your guidelines, I know what you're trying to do. I understand. It's been going on ever since we moved here. This is the color. It's not black. It's bronze. You can't hardly see it. It blends right into the landscape. And so we did that. A lot of the houses around here that have railings have bronze instead of black or white or whatever. So,
But yours isn't a rail, yours is a fence. It's not like a little rail. It's a fence. I don't know how many tall it is.
it's 3 feet. It's 3 feet. It's railing height.
Once you put a gate up, he turns it into a fence.
Okay?
I mean, technically, he turns it into a fence.
Yeah, there's not a gate on the wall.
Can I interject a comment here? I'm going to agree with what Ava said to you and what David said to you. And in my notion of a proposal for this fence guideline, my notion in terms of the guideline for fences is related to a fence to enclose an area. That doesn't enclose an area.
Well, it does when I put the little wings on it. It does.
Okay, I guess it does that. Okay.
Yeah.
But you have the gates and.
Yeah, I ordered the stuff. I have it. I was installing it. And what's kind of funny about all this, you know, where your proposals, you started talking about in the board after this all happened and we had our conversation and the fence guidelines came out. And I said, Connie, I said, oh, yeah, they're putting out these fence guidelines and they're saying it's got to have a 6-foot gate. I ordered 4-foot gates. It's, you know, it's got to be black. I got bronze, you know. I don't think you can win this discussion. You know, I don't think you can win. I think you're urinating in the wind on this as long as you are probably right. Yeah. I mean, I understand why you're trying to do something, to have something to go by as a guideline, but
Some of the issues are coming in because the committee has guidelines, but they're not going by. I don't know who he is, but next to Steve Bosco, there's a house there. They approved a fence in the backyard. Why did it get approved?
I don't know. John Reeves fence go all the way around the backyard.
But it shouldn't have been. Maybe they need more. If they're going to go outside the boundaries a little bit, then maybe it needs to be brought up at the board meeting to be approved, because the committee doesn't seem to be going by the bylaws.
I don't think you can. I don't think you can regulate it. I think you can put out guidelines. So how do we think this would look nice if you did it this way? I was all in favor of, you know, if I had to make the rules, I'd say a black fence. Wife says, I don't want a black fence. They look like hell, depending on what's behind it. It'll stand out against our tan house. I said, oh, okay. And if you go and look, I invite you all to look at it. I've had several neighbors look at it. Oh, that looks really good. You know, I use high-end material. I use matte finish so it wouldn't be shiny and reflective. I put nice little $35 a piece things at the base on top of the stone. It looks great. It doesn't hurt anybody. It doesn't hurt anybody in here or anybody in your whole survey if I have that in my yard. That's all.
Thank you, Jim. Yep. Well, I'm staying as neutral as I possibly can on fences. I have my own theories, but that's out of the point. My only point is to keep the board from doing something that compromises or completely contradicts ruling documentation. This argument's been going on for over 25 years.
You can't win it. There is no.
How many people want?
Dick?
I want to make a comment about surveys and clear it up, okay? The administration of surveys is done programmatically. No human is involved. Last time there was an error because I clicked the button wrong and the program took over. So any concept that we need monitoring is flawed because when I press the button, it closes it, and then it's done until the date is expired. And then those results are reported by the system. So no human is involved with it.
I'm not sure we've gotten anywhere.
You're never gonna get anywhere. Other people have tried. John Lang tried, you know, I mean,
We've all tried.
yeah, it's not I mean, she doesn't like fences, I can tell from what she said. She doesn't have to put a fence in.
I said, how many people want it?
I don't think very many people want a fence.
Well, that's what they're trying to find out. That's what Steve says he wants a survey for,
Maybe,
so that the board can find out,
maybe
finally.
maybe the simplest thing is, as Dave Deming suggested, a very, very simple question.
Yeah.
Yes or no?
Well, you have to be careful about what you say in a survey. You see surveys all the time. You can word the survey for the outcome you want. Like you say, do you want a fence? Yes or no? No, I don't want a fence. You care if somebody has a fence that looks nice down the road from you. Oh, no, that's a different question, okay?
As long as they take care of, take the grass and everything else, you know?
Yeah.
You want to change the bylaws.
Nothing about fences in the bylaw.
No.
And I just say, I think it would be helpful for the architectural committee to know how the different phases feel on fences. Like, for example, we put out a survey, we found out that 65% of the people in phases 1 through 5 are against fences. So if somebody comes to us with a request that's in phases 1 through 5, it's we're gonna people don't want it, we're gonna have to kind of look at this really hard. So I think it would be helpful to provide guidance to the architectural committee.
How many people do want it, you know?
That's what we're arguing about right
Okay,
now.
maybe we need to go around, maybe need to go around.
That doesn't work. No.
Well, I mean, we've been here for years. We were one of the people that's been here the longest. Almost 3 of us. But anyway, but we don't want, I don't want a fence around my house because I don't have an ad dog or anything else.
I understand. Believe me, I do.
And then the problem is who's gonna take care of, the fence, they got grass growing up or whatever, and they don't trim it or whatever, and it's on my side of the,
That's the next phase. After you find out what the people want, then you've got to have some regulations. And that was my argument is, where do you put these regulations? It can't be simply a guideline, because a guideline does not exist in the governing documents. It has to be a governing document, and it has to be something that the committee or a person cannot change readily. That's what's happened over the last, I know for a fact, 5 years. There's been 3 different sets of guidelines on fences, and Chris, you hit it. Somebody authorized a fence to be put up that should never have been allowed. But that's what that committee wanted to allow at the time. So we have no control over what's been done.
I don't think that fence is more than 6 months old.
You're right, it is about that.
Yeah, so.
But that was just prior to this board.
Yeah, well, I'm not talking, I'm not saying the board.
That's what I'm saying. It's been the past
Yeah, so.
administration.
Regulations that they're gonna go by.
Well,
Because the committee's got their own.
the audience is trying to watch this movie, so in the audience, when you speak, would you stand up so that they can see who's talking, if they don't know?
Okay.
Well,
Well,
another problem is probably when Tim probably says, oh, yeah, you can take that hand off. Come on.
Okay, let's move this along. This is getting completely out of hand. Steve has made a proposal, and it's been a motion, it's been seconded, we've had a lot of discussion. My interjection is, let's try to keep the wording of the survey as minimal as possible, but yet make it meaningful.
Can I suggest that Dennis and I can try to draft the survey and present it to the rest of the board, and if the rest of the board likes it, then we'll go forward with it.
Is that agreeable with you, Dennis? How about the rest of the board?
Are we gonna make it phase specific?
It can go out as
Dennis and
one.
I'll take a stab at that.
It can go out as one survey to the entire association, but the results can be tabulated both ways, either by sections or overall, as I understand it. Is that correct, Dick?
The tabulation of the aggregation will be done manually. So the way it will work is that we can send out surveys and we identify what DCR controls came in. And then if we want to add those together, we have to do that manually.
Okay.
All the, 43 people said this and 10 said that, and the different one, we can add them together to get an aggregate if you like.
Okay.
That part is manual.
But the initial is by DCR, like 1 through 5, 6 and 7, and 8. So you have 3, it goes simultaneously, but under 3 umbrellas or.
The way it is currently set up, with what we did before, was 1 through 5 was one set, 6, 7, and 8 were all together in one set. I can change that and make it 1 through 5, 6 and 7, and 8. Okay, I have some work to do that, but that can be done. And each of those blocks will be tabulated separately, and then you can add them together if you want to get an overall. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just want to say on this phase thing, what you're setting yourself up to do is create the same kind of situation where people were talking about, well, up on the hill, they ought to have a separate HOA, and things ought to be different for each phase. The phase was just the thing used for the developer when he was building the subdivision. If you have separate policies for different locations in the gardens, you're going to have existing.
The developer changed it when he made new DCR.
Yeah, I know.
It wasn't
I
anything
think
to do
you're
with
just
the
going to divide the
members.
community. They're gonna say, well, how can they have it and we can't have it here?
The developer caused that when he created different DCCRs for different annexations to the gardens. And like it or not, we have to live with it.
Yeah.
Well, it's my understanding, my interpretation is it's even worse than that. DCRs apply to the homeowner, not the developer.
No.
You would like to think that the developer would do his development consistent with the DCRs.
You would like to think that.
But it doesn't happen. The developer is going to build what the customer wants. That's how in essence, in my opinion, that's how we've gotten into this very bad situation, because the developer builds what the customer wants, and the homeowner, after the fact, is now confined by the DCR.
All right, we're getting further off track again. Yeah.
I don't vote.
I don't think it's gonna matter what survey you do, because someone will say, well, he's got a fence, why can't I have a fence?
You're right.
So I think once the fence is done, anybody can have a fence. They already let the cat out of the bag.
One last comment.
To go along with what Steve was saying about the developer, it's right, but the developer never, ever builds on his property. The homeowner is the one that owned the property before the developer ever started building. So they're the ones that are responsible for violating the DCR. The developer is an excellent salesman. Hell, like I can sell ice to an Eskimo in January. And for that matter, you have to be extremely careful for somebody visiting him, because he will overrun everybody. I only think there's 2 people in this entire neighborhood that are immune to his sales tactics, and none of them are on the board.
Okay. we do have a motion on the table, and it has been seconded. There's been a lot of discussion. There's been a revision by Steve to him and Dennis get together and try to formulate some type of a meaningful survey to at least find out what the majority of the association wants to see.
Almost an hour.
I guess all in favor of Dennis and Steve pushing forward with this?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay. Next item, social committee chairperson. I guess maybe you all don't know, but our social committee chairperson did retire, and we've not been able to locate a new chairperson. But the social committee is made up of quite a few individual folks. I see Linda back there is looking kind of over the shoulder at me. I know that some of these persons have gotten together and discussed what they want to do going forward or how they can go forward. Right now, the committee, without a chairman, is working together as best they possibly can, and I appreciate all their work. They're planning to change to only 4 seasonal socials next year. They'll also continue to help with the annual HOA meeting. That's something else we'll get into later. The current members know what's needed for actual events and are able to run them with very little oversight. 2 members will sign up to co-lead each event. So someone just needs to coordinate the reports and submit the budget and like. In the meantime, Cookie Jewer, the one that's eyeballing me, will be our main contact person, but any committee member will gladly answer questions. To that effect, yes, somebody needs to take care of the paperwork. That's pretty much the easy part. These ladies have got the hard part tackled. They'll take care of all the setup and what have you, and make sure that they have the supplies they need. They'll, get to somebody to take care of that. Jeff and I have talked about it between ourselves, and the 2 of us agreed that between us, we will take care of the paperwork.
Oh.
Okay? So we have a committee with I guess you call it a chair.
We did.
Welcome to the committee. So I think that should put the social committee to rest, and we'll press forward from there. Does anybody else on the board have any old business that needs to be brought up? Okay, then we'll move on to new business. New business is going to be the association fees for the coming fiscal year, starting next April, is it?
April 1st, 2026.
There has been a budget call meeting, and all the committees have submitted their proposals for what they will need budget-wise for the coming year after April 1st. It does include some increases in costs because of inflation and whatever else. With that being said, right now, if we do a 5% increase, we're some $6,000 in a hole next year because of these increases. Now, we'll change that a little bit because the social committee is dropping 6 socials. And those socials have been running about $600 per social with the rental of the hall and all the other stuff that has to be taken care of. So with dropping $600 times 6, that gets us about $3,600 back closer to our budget. Am I making sense, Gail?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's still doing the math.
No, I want him to do the math. I've tried to do it, and I'm not a mathematician. I just throwing some figures around.
That would leave us then about where we are this year. We're 2,300. We started the year with 2,300 negative this fiscal year.
Okay.
But we're not gonna, just like every other year, we're not gonna spend all of our money.
Well, we hope not. The budget is what we think is gonna take, but,
Yeah.
you know, then you have the actual. Then we have another field also. We have a report here from our insurance committee, our liability and property damage and all that. With the exception of that one new insurance policy that they took out last year, this last spring, it looks like there's going to be a possibility of reducing our insurance costs. Well, we have two proposals, anywhere from 18 to 30%.
That's about, yeah, let's let Bob talk about the
Yes, I'm ready for you, Bob, if you're available.
I'm Bob DeBlasio. I'm on lot 631, and I live at 59 Holly Tree Drive. All the insurance for the HOA renews in December, except for that policy that we wrote in April for workers' comp. We got a really favorable result on our insurance. The umbrella stayed the same, the D&O stayed the same, and the package which insures this building and our general liability was cut almost in half. If we just renewed as expiring, we're going to save about $3,000 over what our budget was for the year. But when I presented to the board back in the spring, I suggested we get quotes for increased limits for the D&O and also for the umbrella. And I have quotes for that. But even if we buy those limits, which is really a question before the board, do we do that? We don't have to do both either. We can do one or the other. We're going to save about $1,400 over the budget for fiscal year 25-26.
Okay, so that will help our budget forecast for the coming year.
Yeah, so we could reduce what our budget was for 26 to 27, which I don't have that number handy, but
Yeah.
it was based off a much higher baseline.
The past budget was 7604,
Yeah, so the
not including that workers' comp.
correct, but the budget numbers that I provided to Gail did include the workers' comp, but that was only $428.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
we can't reckon it all.
As opposed to the 7604, from what I see here, option A would be continue the existing coverage, and the cost would be $46.79, which is about a 35% savings. And if we do the increased limits that's suggested, the cost would be $62.44 with about a 13% savings. Am I correct?
That is correct. And we don't have to increase the umbrella and the D&O. They're completely separate. The umbrella does not sit over the D&O.
Right.
It does sit over the general liability and a couple other things. My personal opinion is I would increase the D&O limit because I think the price increase was reasonable. I thought the price increase on the umbrella increase, I thought was unreasonable. In my business, when you double your limit of liability, you never double the premium. And you see that on the D&O. The D&O didn't double, except the umbrella did. So I don't know. I guess the actuaries went to different schools. But I'm having a hard time with the umbrella increase. I think it's too much. But I think the board should buy more D&O.
Okay.
Because it's a limit of liability of $1 million per claim. So
So you could have a claim that names every one of you guys. You could have a claim that names every one of you guys and every one of us committee members.
Yeah.
So you're diluting that $1 million over a lot of people. So I would buy a higher D&O limit. The umbrella, to me, that's a coin flip. Do it, don't do it. If money is really an issue, do the D&O and don't do the umbrella. Maybe next year we get a more reasonable quote.
Okay. Based on that report, does the board understand what's proposed?
I think so.
Okay. I would entertain a proposal to accept either option, well, how about our existing coverage, but increase the D&O, but not the umbrella?
D&O is one decrease, right?
I make the motion.
Really the problem.
Yes.
GL went up a tiny bit.
What about the parking over in phase 2?
We didn't do anything with that.
Okay. Dennis has made the motion that we up the D&O coverage, but not the umbrella for the coming year.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Don. Okay.
So that would, well, both of the proposals I presented to the board for budget increases
Mhm.
would be affected the same.
Yes.
Okay. So what's your pleasure? Do you want to see a revised 5% and 10%, or just want to see a
Let's see,
revised 5%?
revised 5%, please. I think we could make it on the 5%.
Okay. Got it.
That's my personal opinion. I think that puts us within,
Revised budget numbers.
Yeah, do that, please.
that puts us within about the same areas we were this past year,
Yes.
as far as deficit. Okay. In that case, we'll wait until Gail gets that 5% proposal, and we can call a special meeting if need be and get that taken care of so Gail can start his processes. Okay,
Yeah, we do, don't forget that we need a budget in place by January 1, okay?
well, once we get this, yeah, that's why I say is that we can call a special meeting to get that taken care of. Next item is the Financial Reserve Committee chairperson has been Ken Wertenberger. He has had 3 other people on his board with him. They've, I think, done a very good job of taking care of our financial reserve and getting us on track. I have here a note from Ken Wertenberger that he would like to resign from the chair of that committee and also resign from the committee. Didn't have any particular reason. I'm sure it's personal or travel related. Don Galuzzi's been on the committee for since 2020, and very capable of taking over, and he has agreed to become the chair of the Financial Reserve Committee. So actually all we need is a confirmation of a new chairperson for our committee today. And as I understand it, if that goes into the minutes, that constitutes confirmation. Does anybody have objections to Don Galuzzi being the chair? Okay. No objections, so they're carried. let's see. Also have a note on here about needing some help with IT responsibilities. I understand we have two moderators, Joe Moore and Bruce Lipinski, both help Dick with the meetings, getting the equipment set up and what have you. But there are other, Dick's got a lot of hats and he could use a little help. So if we have persons who are willing to take on some of his tasks, such as moderators for the email or the bulletin board, thank you, and even a website manager. You know, if anybody has background in that and would like to help out, we're looking for some help. Steve has offered to help as much as he possibly can, so that's a start. Okay, I think we've had the voice of the membership, unless there's something else that somebody would like to bring up. Yeah. But before we get into that, we have had a resignation from the board of directors. So we are again looking to fulfill a vacancy. This is not an expired term vacancy. It is a vacancy due to a request to resign. When this board took over the administration, it was agreed to allow the membership to vote for their choice of the persons who were willing to step up and run for the board. And if you go to our expired term voting, it allows for the person to receive the next highest number of votes after the person that filled the vacancy was given the opportunity to step forward onto the board. I don't know if we can still do that or not. It's actually two different sections of the DCRs and bylaws.
It's in the bylaws.
I know it is. So I guess what best thing that we can do is to ask for volunteers to step forward to run for the board. Okay?
Say that again?
We'll have to ask for volunteers to step forward to run for the board.
Oh, yes.
It'll have to be a vote of the public again. Okay? So at this time, I'll ask those present if anybody would step forward. Okay, well, we have two people, Dave Deming and Jeff Mersch.
Can't believe I did that. I've been the president of the HOA. I've been the head of the architectural review committee. I did all that. I fought with developers on getting roads rebuilt. I said never again. But I just feel like
your wife, please.
No, like I always say when she's not here, I'm the one that makes the decisions about it.
I know the feeling.
So we should probably open,
Yes, we'll have to put this.
a week's worth of, offers.
Yes.
Who resigned?
Yeah, we will have to put out an email to the bulletin. Huh?
To who resigned?
Who resigned?
Oh, David Shockey.
Okay.
We need to put this out on the bulletin board requesting volunteers.
Yeah.
And I don't know, what's the general consensus? How long should we leave that open? Anybody?
I would say a week.
You shouldn't need that long to decide.
Well, we're not in any great hurry. I mean, we've got 6 members. I think we can live with that for a week. Sherry?
In addition to Dave and Jeff?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they
They
volunteered.
volunteered, so in
They're on board.
addition to them, we still need more people to
Yeah.
volunteer.
If they want.
No, no, that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, we'd like to have as many volunteers as possible, but we'll live with 1 through 20. So,
And then to be transparent, when does David Shockey's term end?
May 27th,
Oh, so in 2026,
2027.
2027? Just so that these guys know what they're getting into.
Do I have to do it that long?
Little over a year.
That's assuming I.
If you get voted in.
You can resign. You can always resign, we can go through this again. Let's see, what else did I have here?
Are we going to ask them to put together some kind of synopsis about themselves for the voting purpose?
Yes.
That probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Dick,
Can I suggest how to handle that?
we're open.
On the bulletin board, there's a place, a specific area for candidates with a paragraph to whatever they want to say.
Okay.
Typically, previously they did a bio of what they've done in the past. Recently, the head of the, I think Liz, drafted 3 or 4 questions that she asked the candidates to answer as opposed to just giving a bio. And that got very favorable. I got a lot of comments on that. Instead of saying, I did this and that for my wife, what do you think? Answer the questions that Liz has. Unfortunately, Liz is having phone problems, so I think she would weigh in here. But the way that she did it last time, which was to have the candidates answer questions, and then we post those on the bulletin, on the website for the communities to review, and they understand where each of the candidates is coming from. That might be a good way to do that. If I wish Liz was here, because I think she would weigh in. And I think she got really good feedback as well.
Okay. That's gonna be further down the line. We've got to find out how many candidates we have first. So let's put out the word on the bulletin board for volunteers to fill the vacancy. And, I guess you could put in that, request that they go on to, the website and fill out that questionnaire.
Yeah, they submit, has the format and everything. They submit it to Liz, and she's still ahead of the.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they submit it to Liz, and then Liz works to me. It's all, I make them all uniform.
Okay.
Uniform and format.
Yeah, well, we'll figure out the wording for the, bulletin board then. Okay. I believe we've come to the, next regular board meeting. Would normally be scheduled on a Tuesday morning, second Tuesday of the month. Our governing documents, do not require us to have meetings for December, January, and February, but we will as needed. For right now, we'll schedule the next board meeting for 12/9/2025 as required. Yes.
And just one last thing, I'd like to say thank you to all veterans in the room and online. I appreciate your service.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ernie. With that, I think I'll take a motion for adjournment.
So,
Steve, second? Dennis? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you, folks.
In December?
Yes.